What happened to Andrew, Alexander, and Tanner?
It's been a challenging day, as you can imagine.
An Amber Alert is in effect now.
They don't know where the boys are.
That's correct.
Police in Michigan are calling the father of 3 missing little boys a liar.
He indicates to us that he was the last person to see them when he turned the children over to a Joanne Taylor.
The police chief, though, just telling us they don't know if that woman even exists.
What I'm saying is a reported relationship between Mr. Skelton and Joanne Taylor does not exist.
This is the boy's father, John Skelton. Out of work, separated, and a neighbor says depressed. He tried to hang himself Friday.
He survived the suicide attempt.
We're going to find these boys and bring them home.
I'm Jean Casares of In Session on the True TV network, in for Nancy Grace. Thank you so much for joining us live to Michigan. Amber Alert, 3 young brothers, just 5, 7, and 9 years old. They're missing tonight. Michigan State Police and the FBI say the little boys are in extreme danger. Last seen on Thanksgiving when their father, John Skelton, claims he turned them over to a woman he kept in touch with over the internet. Their father then attempts suicide. Well, he's still alive, but in the last hours, police announced there is no evidence that that woman even exists. Straight out to Elisa Z, news director at Detroit Metro Networks, with the latest. Elisa, these 3 little boys, they could be alive tonight.
Very much so. Good evening, Jean. Thank you so much for having me. We are hearing that for today, the search has gone down to northern Ohio, where they do believe the father of these little boys may have dropped them by the side of the road. And we have every reason to believe these little boys may be alive. In other words, there's been no evidence to the contrary.
Now, why do you say that the father may have dropped them to the side of the road? Who's saying that?
We are hearing reports from police in the area of Ohio, from the fire chief, actually, who used the words, actually, that the father may have dumped the little boys. And that could indicate really a tragic outcome, or perhaps a positive outcome if he really just dropped the boys by the side of the road.
All right, to Ignacio Messina, reporter for the Toledo Blade. Ignacio, talk about the timeline, because this is a difficult timeline, but start at the beginning, because this all happened on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's right, Jim. Thanks for having me also. This started on Thanksgiving when the boys were apparently at their father's house visiting for the holiday, and they were to be returned after the holiday at their mother's house. The mother reported them missing Friday when they didn't arrive, and it was then that the father told police he gave them to this woman, and that he went home to kill himself, to hang himself, unsuccessfully.
So why did he give the kids to this woman?
He told authorities that he did this so they wouldn't see him kill himself, that he could go home and hang himself in private. And that was his story.
And who's the woman?
Of course, the woman, her name supposedly was Joanne Taylor. But as you said earlier, there may be a woman, Joanne Taylor, but there is no relationship between father and this woman.
And let's go back to Elisa Z, news director, Detroit Metro Networks. Didn't police say today it was all a lie, that he did not hand the children over to the so-called Joanne Taylor?
Yes, police did say that, Jean. They said, in fact, as we just heard, there may be a Joanne Taylor or many Joanne Taylors in existence. However, there is no Joanne Taylor in relation to this story, the missing little Skelton boys.
But here's the thing that throws everything into the crimp, that makes it so these kids could be alive. To Ellie Jostad, Nancy Grace producer, the mother of these children who has custody of these 3 little boys, is it true or is it not that she's a registered sex offender? She is a registered sex offender.
Yes, you're right. Actually, she was convicted in 1999 of 4th-degree sexual conduct with a minor. We've got some documents on the case. We know that she was accused of having intercourse with a 14-year-old boy, pled to the lesser charge. She is required to register as a sex offender in Michigan.
All right, to Mark Klass, president and founder of Klass Kids Foundation. I'm going both ways on this story because I want these little boys to be alive. We all do. And could there be a motive for the father to lie that he gave the children to somebody that doesn't even exist in his life to protect the kids from the mother?
I don't think so. I mean, I suppose anything is possible, But to make up this story, to justify the absence of the boys by making up this story that this woman that doesn't exist had taken them so that he could commit suicide, doesn't make any sense to me. He could have given the boys back to the mother. I feel that this is a very desperate situation, and that the boys may not even be alive, but if they are, they need to be found very, very quickly.